So I was talking to a friend the other day, and he was talking to me because he kind of wants to. I work with him. He wants to get into a point where he doesn't have to work a normal job, like most people do. They want to have that going for them, right? And he was saying to me how his dad's like he didn't say it in the nicest of ways, but he said to me how his dad's unsupportive or his dad's retarded, if I'm going to put it lightly, or whatever it was, right? He obviously didn't mean it to that extent, but that's the idea. And I think a lot of people have this problem. Their parents don't believe in what it is that they're doing. And when I say that, I emphasize the word believe. It's not that they don't like believe in you in terms of like you can do what they want, but they don't believe that you can get the outcome because you haven't proved them and or given them any reason to do so. So you need to build a bit of credibility with them before any of this arises. But this is what I'll say. He's quitting his job and he wanted to go and start this thing, doing a certain whatever it is, right? What the business model is doesn't really matter. What the idea is though, is the fact that most people, they have an issue with their parents not believing the things that they want to do. So they want to go and live a life that isn't attached to a 9 to 5, and they want to live on their own terms, and they want to make money from a specific way, which gives them location freedom, financial freedom, time freedom, whatever it may be. But their parents see it in a completely different light, and this is why. So when you're a kid, you go through your stages of life from the age of 0 to 18, right? And your parents look at you as a child, and they still do now to some extent, but they look very much so on you as a child. You don't really do anything to your own liking. Everything's kind of orchestrated by their own demand, right? So when you're at a play park or whatever it may be, they see you go up to this I don't know what it is, let's just say the swing, and you try and get on the swing by yourself. They can come up to you and tell you to not go on the swing, and you won't go on the swing, right? Because they have that control over you, and they can do what they perceive to be safe and not going to get you into a hole. Whereas when you get to the age of 18, that feeling from them, they no longer have any control over what you do with your life, but they still feel the same way about you, and they still love you the same. So you've gone from this whole idea of them having you as their little baby that they care so much about, and all of the responsibilities on their shoulders, for which you get to the age of 18 and they completely transfer it over to you. So then it's your responsibility to look after yourself, and they have no control, but they still want that control, and they don't trust you yet to pass you that baton because you haven't given them any credible reason to do so, right? And another thing I'll say is, I don't know if you've ever done this. I imagine most of you haven't. But if you've ever been, or maybe just in a normal car, but a good example of this is if you've got a 2-seater car on a racetrack and you're the one driving the car, unless you're really shit at driving, you can literally drive whatever speed you want, doing whatever you want around the corners, and you'll feel in control and you'll feel safe because you're the one holding the wheel. Whereas the person in the passenger seat, they don't know what the fuck's going on. You could be going 100 miles an hour and they have no trust in you because they're not the ones in control. So you feel in control and they don't because you're in control and they're not. Okay? And this same construct goes, if you're sat in the passenger seat and your mate is driving a car around, like just driving like a retard around country roads or whatever it is, he is driving fine. He's comfortable, he's safe, he trusts himself, but you don't trust him to drive that car at the speeds that he's driving them. So you're like fucking shitting yourself. You're like, oh, whoa, fuck. You want to like almost grab the wheel or brake or whatever it may be, right? And the same thing applies to parenting. And when you're going through your childhood years, they look down on you as like you're a child, and it's their responsibility to look after you and help you with the decisions that you make. But then when you get to 18, it's completely different construct where they have to hand the baton to you, whether they like it or not, and they have to trust you to make the decisions. So they no longer have any real tangible hold on you and your life. So and it's their parental instinct to hold some description of safety around you, and they want you to be safe, and they want you to be risk averse, and they want you to just be content with your life and just be able to get by and just keep your head above water and not have any issues happen to you, and just really just get to the age of 80, not have any problems, and just have a stress-free life, right? That's what they want, because they're not in control. Whereas you, on the other hand, you want to make a shit ton of money, but you know that if you want to make a shit ton of money, you're not going to get it from doing what they want you to do. So they're always going to talk you out of these things in their heads. Like, okay, in their head, they want you to live in a house until you're 80, maybe you get married, maybe have kids, whatever it is. And that's basically your life, because that's risk-free. It's going to happen if you stick to the stages that they went through. They know that if you do the same thing, more often than not, you're going to come out exactly the same, right? Sorry, my monitor stand up. I don't know if the light's different. Anyway, you, on the other hand, you know that if you go down that path, yes, you might get that. Yes, you might get that from your life. You'll get a house. You'll get like a mediocre house. You'll get maybe a wife. You'll get kids, whatever it may be. But that's not what you want. But and then when you go and tell that to them, with them having no control over you doing it, they don't know. They don't trust you. They don't trust you. They don't know why you would do that stuff. They don't have any emotional attachment to it. Their emotional attachment is keeping you safe. Your emotional attachment is like, fuck that. I know that if I want to do this thing, I'm going to have to do something different. So you're in this mindset of, okay, I want to start this business. I want to start this. I want to start this. And your parents are being risk averse, trying to tell you to not do this stuff because they want you to live a safe life. So basically what I'm saying is you need to give some tangible evidence to them for them to trust you to do and go down that path. And I've never had a problem with this with my parents, because I've always made money online since the age of 16. Like, I've never had a job. And I know it sounds jobless, and maybe I am jobless, whatever it may be, but I've never had a job. I've always been working on the internet. So whenever I say something to my parents, they kind of like trust me doing it because I've always made shit happen. And I don't mean that in an egotistical standpoint, but they don't have any problems because they have that inherent trust in my word and in me pulling through of whatever it may be. Whereas with your parents, or most people's parents, they don't know that. So they've gone from this kid who's like going through school, whatever, and then they perceive him getting a job, maybe just getting a job to get by, and then sitting in it until he's 25, and then keep staying in that job, and then whatever it may be, and they just see it as the stress-free, risk-free option. Whereas you, on the other hand, see it completely differently. And my friend's dad said to him, he says something along the lines of, "Oh, you've got a really good paying job. It's really I can't remember the exact words that it was that he stated, but it was like, you've just got a good job. You've got a consistent income of 2K a month. But like, okay, but what do you expect on top of that? What do you expect? Am I just going to keep doing this forever? Am I just going to keep sitting here doing the same thing? Like, what's going to change? How is anything going to change? How am I going to do anything different with my life if I just sit here on this comfortable 2K a month income? What's going to be the mitigator to get me from here to here? Okay, yeah, maybe in 3 years you might get another job opportunity, or you might see a better job and you go for that. That's 3 years of your life gone. And a lot of fucking shit can happen in a year. If you look at my main channel and you look at now, like, a lot of shit can happen in a year if you actually nail down. But there needs to be some mitigation for you to actually achieve that goal. And something needs to happen, and you need to take that leap to make it happen. Because if you don't, you're going to be sitting in the same place your whole life and then wondering where life went. So it takes balls, maybe, for a lot of people to talk to their parents and say, hey, this isn't what I want, I'm going to do this. But that's why you're always going to get pushback, because they don't trust you to do it. Whereas you might trust yourself, but they don't have any reason or any tangible information to be like, yeah, you know what, he's done this, I'm going to let him, trust him to do this. So you've got to build that trust, whatever it may be. You've got to build it. So that's the first thing. But just understand that they see you as a child, and they want to see you live your life content and not have any issues within your life. So whatever doesn't attend to that specific goal that they've got ingrained in their head ever since you were a kid, they're always going to push back on it unless they trust you to do otherwise. So long story short, if you want to make stuff happen, you need to build some trust in your parents to do these things, or well, there's not really any other or, you've just got to do it, really and truly. So I think that's the real reason why parents give you pushback. It's not because they hate you, it's not because they don't want you to succeed. They want you to succeed, but they don't trust you to succeed, because they want you to live a life that is content. and gets you by and doesn't have any problems. But you know that you need to establish some stress and some problems if you want to make shit happen. Because if you don't, nothing good came without risk. Genuinely, nothing good came without risk. So maybe it's not even risk. You can like do two things at the same time. You can have a job and you can have this. But most of the time, for people to actually feel any urge to take action, something needs to change. They can't just 90% of people, they can't just work a 9 to 5 and then try and escape the matrix after the 9 to 5. There's no motivation there. So there needs to be some mitigation most of the time. You need to quit your job, you need to stack up cash and have a 6 month period where you can just lock in on one specific thing, because your back's against the wall and you have to make it work. Otherwise you've got to go back to your old ways. That's the only way. Otherwise, what's going to change? How is anything going to change if nothing changes, So it was just a thought on my mind that I know a lot of people have, like 90% of people have, and I've spoken to so many people about this same topic because they've had the same problem with it. And I think that's the core, it is the core reason. It's just you're their child and they want you to be safe and they want you to be content with your life and they want you to not have any issues. And they don't have any reason to trust you to do anything otherwise. So think about that car analogy, and when you do have that argument with them, know that they're stating it with good intention, and they're stating it from their own perspective because they're not you and they want you to be safe. But it's on you to, if you are making that decision, you have to actually make ends meet, which of course it's going to happen because you are you. So yeah, that's what I really wanted to say there. I probably could have said that far more concise than I did, but yeah, I thought it would be a good little topic to put on this channel, so I thought I would mention it. But nonetheless, if you want to go follow the main channel, you can do so. I unprivated all of my 0 to 10k a month videos on there, so it's top of the description if you want to go check them out. But there's 161 of them from the last 12 months. So, well, not the last 12 months, the last 12 months before the last 12 months, if that makes sense. But anyway, yeah. Cool. Thank you for watching. But just remember that when you have arguments with your parents about your career, it's not because they don't want you to succeed. It's because, and they don't have your best intent in heart. It's because they have no tangible reason to trust you doing what you say you're going to do. So you need to build that trust and you need to make shit happen. And don't be afraid to take the leap. Thank you. And I'll see you in the next video, whenever that is. Cheers. Bye. Bye. Bye.